Well, good morning or good evening or whenever you're listening. This is an episode of the Will Austin Show here on iHeartRadio, and I trust that you are well whenever you're listening to this. The speech was just on from Eva Peron, Hillary Clinton. And of course, it did not disappoint. It had the those that are in attendance mesmerized and hanging on every word, and there were tears, and there was elation, and just amazing, glorious feelings about the whole thing. I watched my Facebook, some of my Facebook friends who are Democrats, and watched the joy and the glee of her speech. You know, when somebody had said that that she looks great, that she looks beautiful. It's funny how they commented on her looks. I didn't think liberals were supposed to comment on how women look, but anyway, and concise were her policies, and that's why I want to talk a little bit about the differences between Democrats and Republicans. Now that thankfully, prayerfully, joyously, both of these conventions have come to an end. Now it's pretty easy to see the differences in Democrats and Republicans, especially through their conventions. We saw the Republican National Convention last week, which was a pretty, for the most part, serious affair. Speakers were frankly not trying to inspire; they were trying to warn and educate. We saw the Democrat convention with their speakers doing exactly the opposite. No one was interested in educating; they were interested in inspiring and touching people emotionally, which is truly a feminine. I'm going to sound like a misogynist, but it's a feminine thing. It's a motherly thing, a matron thing, as opposed to a more paternal approach with the Republican convention. The Republican convention was a lot more paternal. It was a lot more, we need to do this, and this is a problem, and this is a problem, and this is a problem. Let's get to work. Let's get this stuff done. As opposed to, I think we can all work together to make a better world. It was like listening to one Miss America contestant after the other. One Miss America contestant after the other. And you know what? And sometimes the Miss America pageant looks a lot like that. Somebody who's hoping to inspire someone. Someone's hoping to touch somebody's emotion. There weren't many people at the Republican National Convention that were the least bit interested in touching somebody's emotion. They were interested in touching people's intellect. And if they could touch your intellect, if they could make it so you were thinking about what you were doing and were thinking about what was actually happening, that's what they were trying to. That's what they were trying to do. And we just didn't. And we saw exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite in the Democrat convention. We saw exactly opposite. We saw everything was, for lack of a better term, touchy-feely, designed to evoke emotion over intellect, emotion over reality sometimes, delusional, absolutely delusional. Sometimes absolutely forgetting the reality of what was even happening around them. That outside, that there were a whole bunch of people who would have loved to have been inside, but they were so disillusioned by the process of the Democrat primaries that they were indeed in rebellion, literally in rebellion. And so the Democrat Party and the Democrat Convention was like the mother who has a child who's completely out of control, just ignoring that child. We've all seen that. We've all seen that at the Walmart, haven't we? We've all seen the mother who is just, the child is out of control, throwing stuff, screaming, yelling on the floor, kicking stuff. And you can hear the child all over the store. And every Walmart I've ever been has been pretty big. And if you can hear one kid all over the store, as if they're sitting in your cart, then that kid is completely out of control. And that's what they had going on outside. Now, mainstream media wasn't covering it much, so maybe you didn't see a lot of it if you were unfortunate enough to be stuck on CNN or MSNBC. But there was a lot of hell going on outside, and they were just ignoring it like it didn't exist. They basically ignored all the real problems that we're facing, all the dangerous stuff. They didn't talk about anything scary. No, the scariest thing that's going on apparently to Democrats is something that John Kerry mentioned, that the air conditioners in the State Department are more a danger to America and the world than ISIS. Yes, they get to say stupid crap like that. Yes, they get to say dumbass stuff like that all the time and walk away from it because the mainstream media is in the bag for them. So yes, they get to say it all the time and walk away from it now. What upsets most of you is that they get to. Well, that's something that we're going to have to sort of understand, that that's kind of how this game is played, that they get to, and calling them on it in any real way is just a distraction. What we have to do is make sure that they're not in power. So the idea is that, and I'm going to take a little break because I want to talk about the convention itself. I want to talk about how the conventions went down and how they were organized, and some of the things that you saw, and what, frankly, the Democrat convention did better. I know I'm not trying to be fair and balanced here, but we have to be honest about it. One of the things that the Democrat convention did better than the Republican convention. We'll be back with more of the Willie Lawson Show here on iHeart.com right after these messages. Information is crucial when you're looking to purchase a new home. With so many choices of communities and options, choosing the right one for you and your family can be a daunting task. That's why you need to go to New Homes of Tampa Bay right now, www.newhomestpa.com, and get the information you need. Learn how people save thousands of dollars when purchasing new homes. Buy like the pros. New Homes Tampa Bay, www.newhomestpa.com. It's all the rage to call and order flowers from 1-800-whatever, or go online and order them from some nameless, faceless person on the other end. I'm saying you should do something different. You should, before doing that, call my friends at Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, located right here in Tampa, Florida, at 11618 North Florida Avenue, 33612. Christine and her staff don't look at just the order. They look at the customer. They look at your occasion. They consider the entire person, the entire occasion, before making decisions about design and price. You're more than just a customer. You're a friend. Call our friends at Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, toll free at 1-800-330-3297. 1-800-330-3297. Local 813-971-5947. 813-971-5947. You can reach them on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. You're tired of the cold? You're tired of the taxes? It's time to move to Florida. And our friend Gary Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay is the perfect person to help you. You can just give Gary a call at 813-770-9452, or you can go to the website to look for your brand new home at www.newhomestpa.com. Move to Florida. It's about time. All right. Welcome back to the Will Austin Show here on iHeart.com. It is, I know it's late. It's tomorrow, 03 already. But you know what? These things go on for a while. So I wanted to talk about a little bit the difference in the difference in the conventions. Yes, speakers make a difference in the kind of things they approach and the way they do it. That's a huge thing. But it's more than that. And quite frankly, this is a lesson that that Republicans need to learn if they're having these events on television. This is not the 1970s. This is a made-for-TV event. This is now a made-for-television event. This is a mini-series that unfolds over the course of the week that plays on television. And what people want in their miniseries is a story. They want characters they like. And in miniseries, they want high emotion. They want high emotion people they can grab onto. What the Democrat Party was, I'll tell you what it was. The Democrat convention was like watching a 4-day miniseries on the Hallmark Channel. It was like watching a 4-day miniseries on the Hallmark Channel. Some laughs, some great music, some fabulous production, and fabulous production value, and of course some teary-eyed moments, touching moments, all put together expertly to make a fabulous television event. The Republican National Convention, on the other hand, was a la 1976, where it wasn't a TV event. It was an event for the people who were there, and TV cameras just happened to be in the place. That was the difference. So to the person who is just watching television, who is just looking because they figure they're hoping they're going to gain some massive knowledge out of this thing. What they see, and in the Republican convention is rather unimpressive because it just doesn't have the production value of the DNC. It just doesn't have the production value. It's just not as entertaining. And with the type of speeches that were given and the kind of information that was relayed, it seemed kind of scary. It seemed like everybody was kind of pissed off. And because a lot of people were. It seemed like a lot of people were pissed off. And it had that vibe. Where the Democrat convention, people were very, very careful not to have it have that everybody's pissed off vibe. Well, and they had to for a couple of reasons. Not because they're not pissed off, not because they're not a group of the most angry people that you could possibly know. It's because that angry vibe would have reflected badly on the past 8 years of Democrat rule. By the way, yeah, all this is going on, and you guys have been in charge for the past 8 years. You've had, and then 2 years before the presidential rule, you had Congress. So anything you hate here, anything you don't like about what's going on, guess what? You created it. You've been making laws pretty much for the past 12 years. So guess what? Whatever you don't like about this is kind of your doing. So knowing that, they sort of put it's like when you cut yourself, your mommy puts a Band-Aid on it and kisses it because you've got a boo-boo. Now, what you really might need is you might need stitches, or at least a butterfly clamp and a tetanus shot. But mommy puts a boo-boo on, puts some Neosporin, puts a Barney Band-Aid on it, gives you some juice and sits you in the corner, and now you're happy. Now, you may be dying of a staph infection, but you're happy. And this is what the Democrat convention was. Just put a boo-boo on it. You got a boo-boo, let's put a Band-Aid on it and kiss it and tell everybody how wonderful you are and how we're all going to work together. Those phrases aren't, I think people are mistaking those phrases for policy. That's not policy. The idea that we're going to work together, that we respect everybody's differences and it's our diversity that makes us strong. Those phrases aren't policy. That's not policy. That's bullcrap, because none of these people believe that. I mean, again, they're freaking delusional. Because if they were interested in working together, they would have been upfront honest with Bernie Sanders in the beginning. That they would have let that play out however it played out. And if Bernie Sanders ended up their nominee, then Bernie Sanders would have ended up their nominee. But they didn't do that, and it even got found out. That's why I said, that these people are masters of self-deception and delusion. That they are talking about working together and love and peace and enjoying the diversity and we've got to work together, and America is great. It's always been great. Isn't that interesting? Let's back up. Monday night, Michelle Obama comes on the stage and says, "Don't let anybody tell you that America is not great." Isn't that interesting? Michelle Obama gets on the air and gets on the stage and says that don't let anybody tell you that America is not great. Wait a minute. Didn't you say that when your husband was running for office, and had won the nomination, that was the first time that you had been proud of your country? Isn't that what you said? And that was 8 years ago. How long is always for Michelle Obama? Now, it was the same sort of feedback on Facebook as Hillary Clinton got tonight. She looks great. What a great role model. What a beautiful woman and a beautiful message and blah, 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 freaking blah. Nothing of any consequence really said, and a lot of things just ignored. Speaking of ignoring stuff, there was nearly no mention of the danger of ISIS. There was no mention of the danger of illegal immigration. Because what they didn't want to do was this. What they didn't want to do was upset the La Raza base. They didn't want to accept that part of their base. They wanted to make sure that all of the La Raza and all the Black Lives Matter and all the black, brown resistance people were happy, because the last thing you want to mention is that it's not okay for people to come into this country who aren't supposed to be here. That's the last thing you want to mention. Although our buddy Bill, during his administration, said that one of the biggest problems they had at the time was illegal immigration. You see how easy it is for Democrats to be delusional? Just freaking delusional. Just ignore it. That's all. It's easy. Just ignore it. Just pretend it didn't happen. Just focus on the flowers. Just focus on the flowers. No. There's sand spurs here. No. Just focus on the flowers. Don't focus on the sand spurs. That'll make you negative and sad. Just focus on the flowers. Now, this is let me see if I can get the volume up so you can hear it. This is a comparison video of Bill Clinton and Donald Trump.
One of these areas is the problem of illegal immigration.
We have to stop the inflow of illegals coming into our country.
This administration has taken a strong stand to stiffen the protection of our borders.
We will build a wall. It will do what it's supposed to do. Keep illegal immigrants out.
We are increasing border controls by 50%.
We're going to have a border. It's going to be a real border.
We have a country. We have to have borders.
We are increasing inspections to prevent the hiring of illegal immigrants. And tonight I announce I will sign an executive order to deny federal contracts to businesses that hire illegal immigrants.
What are we going to do about illegal hiring?
You can be very, very strong. It could be a huge financial penalty. It could be beyond a
Why don't these guys in your... Because that's the magnet.
With E-Verify and with the various
are you for
methods.
it?
I'm for it.
We should honor every legal immigrant here working hard to be a good citizen, but we are also a nation of laws.
We have a country. We have to have laws. We either have a country or we don't.
Isn't that interesting? That's a great mashup. Bill Clinton said these things. President Bill Clinton said these things at a State of the Union address in 1996. And what? 1996? 20 years later, we're still talking about him. Isn't it interesting that Bill Clinton said that Donald Trump said exactly what Bill Clinton said? Isn't that interesting? Exactly what he said. Almost word for word. This is more of the delusion of the left, that when Bill said it in 96, right now, I mean he could do whatever he wants. He's a guy who could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it and still be the grandfatherly, wonderful A-game, a lover boy of the Democrat Party. Well, somehow the person who said exactly the same thing 20 years later happens to be Donald Trump. He's somehow Beelzebub. Delusional. The difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are naive, but Democrats are delusional. Absolutely delusional. I mean, we're talking about their candidate, their Santa Evita has been under four FBI investigations. 4. That the head of their party had to step down when information came out that they've been rigging the primaries on their party. They've been breaking their own rules and rigging the primaries. And their candidate hired her right away. That sort of corruption, that sort of insider trading, doesn't affect them at all. And that's something that, when I talk about Republicans being naive, Republicans think that ought to disqualify them even from each other, but it doesn't. It doesn't disqualify them from each other because of their delusional capabilities, their ability to self-deceive, to blame Donald Trump for the WikiLeaks email dump, that somehow Donald Trump was working with Vladimir Putin and got these Russian hackers to hack a DNC in this sort of Watergate fashion, is freaking delusional. That's now how that works. Their poster boy, Assange, made it clear that these emails were leaked. They weren't hacked. They were leaked. Mainstream media keeps saying Russian hackers. There was no Russian hacking going on. Isn't it interesting? Again, more delusion. There was, what the left says, there's no way that the private email server that Hillary Clinton had could have been hacked by Russian hackers. Well, bullcrap. Now, however, that was impossible, but the DNC email servers were hacked by Russian hackers at the behest of Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Delusional. Just flippin' delusional. And I've said this for years, it's impressive that the left just says stuff, and it doesn't have to make any sense. It doesn't. Making sense and telling truth is not a requirement. You just keep saying it, and you have the echo chamber of the media who keeps saying it and keeps saying it and keeps saying it and keeps saying it, and then it becomes a factoid. And a factoid is something that isn't true, but it's said so much that people believe that it is. So they keep saying Russian hackers, Russian hackers, Russian hackers. And of course, all the Russian hackers are working for the Russian government. Oh, no, of course they're not. Of course they're not. Julian Assange makes the allegation that this information of these emails were leaked. And isn't it interesting that an operative for the DNC was shot to death in Washington, D.C. last week, and there were no witnesses? I don't know if those things go together or not, and neither do you. But somebody should investigate the death of the shooting death in D.C. of this 27-year-old man who worked for the Democrat National Committee, and it wasn't a week before these emails were released on WikiLeaks, and this guy was murdered, and you haven't heard a thing about it, have you? Through all of this, was there one tribute to him? I didn't see it because I can't watch the DNC because it makes me angry. I can't watch it dispassionately. I was telling somebody this week that's one of the things I cannot watch dispassionately. I just can't stare at it like I'm staring at a baseball game between the Reds and the Padres, two teams I couldn't give two craps about, and go, well, I'm just watching some baseball. I don't even know who's playing. I don't even care. That's watching something dispassionately. Or watching a professional football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. Two teams I really don't give a crap about, and I'm just watching it because I'm watching football. I can't watch the Democratic National Convention that way because I know too much. I know what they're doing. I know the agenda being pushed, and I know the tricks they're using. I know. And it makes me too angry when I know that it's working and they're selling their product to people who are watching, especially to their followers. It's this dog whistle politics that they're selling this stuff to their followers, and they're going to go out and do their best to execute what they've been told because they really believe, and that's and we're going to talk about that when we get back. We're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back and finish up. The difference between Democrats and Republicans here on the Willie Lawson Show here on iHeart.com. We'll be right back.
You're tired of the cold? You're tired of Texas? It's time to move to Florida. And our friend Gary Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay is the perfect person to help you. You can just give Gary a call at 813-770-9452, or you can go to the website to look for your brand new home at www.newhomestpa.com. Move to Florida. It's about time.
It's all the rage to call and order flowers from 1-800-whatever, or go online and order them from some nameless, faceless person on the other end. I'm saying you should do something different. You should, before doing that, call my friends at Blooming Days Flower Shop, located right here in Tampa, Florida, at 11618 North Florida Avenue, 33612. Christine and her staff don't look at just the order. They look at the customer. They look at your occasion. They consider the entire person, the entire occasion, before making decisions about design and price. You're more than just a customer. You're a friend. Call our friends at Blooming Days Flower Shop, toll free at 1-800-330-3297. 1-800-330-3297. Local 813 813-971-5947. 813-971-5947. You can reach them on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. Information is crucial when you're looking to purchase a new home. With so many choices of communities and options, choosing the right one for you and your family can be a daunting task. That's why you need to go to New Homes of Tampa Bay right now, www.newhomestpa.com, and get the information you need. Learn how people save thousands of dollars when purchasing new homes. Buy like the pros. New Homes Tampa Bay, www.newhomestpa.com. Alrighty, well, welcome back to the Willie Lawson Show here on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio.com. We appreciate iHeartRadio letting us broadcast through Spreaker and giving us this opportunity. And we hope to make the best of it. We hope and need to make the best of it. We were talking about the difference between Republicans and Democrats, or Democrats and Republicans. And I'll tell you, it was pretty apparent. When Democrats watch the Democrat convention, there again, and I keep mentioning this, there's an emotional, maternal sort of connection. They want to believe. They want desperately to believe. They want to believe that first of all, that everything is going to be okay. And that's a natural thing. Everybody wants to believe that everything is going to be okay. There is very little, if any, cynicism in the true believer who's a Democrat. Almost no cynicism in the message that's being delivered. Thus, if there isn't any cynicism, there isn't any reflection on that. There's no introspection on themselves. There's no analysis going on. It's just they want to desperately believe. Now, the Republican who's watching the Republican convention takes the whole thing with a tremendous amount of analysis. They want to believe too, but they are running this thing, what's being said, through the crucible of truth and reality like nobody's business. And they want whatever is being said on that stage to match up and survive in the crucible of truth and reality. So they're not looking for the emotional attachment to it. What they're hoping for as they're watching is that the person has revealed a truth and a methodology by which this truth can be turned into votes. So they're watching. So first of all, Republicans are watching the Republican convention much differently than Democrats are watching the Democrat convention, which is why on social media and the like, you will see a lot more. You'll see a bunch more reaction from Democrats and liberals as they're watching the convention than you see Republicans. That makes a huge difference, a monstrous difference. But it gives the impression that there are more Democrats watching. It gives the impression that there are more Democrats out there than there might be. But because they are so likely to comment, and to comment in ways that are so non-critical. She looks great. What a great role model she is. Oh, and that was the most touching thing. That makes so much sense. Why don't we do this? Republicans seem so mean and so cold. You know what? All those things. That's the deal. That's what that's really all about. So again, it is so different on how Democrats watch the Democrat convention and how Republicans watch the Republican convention. Again, the Democrats are watching with this sort of Pollyanna-ish, we want to believe, we want to work together, we want to be able to sing songs, we wanted it to be like that big Coke commercial back in the 70s. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. That's what, that's how they're listening, how they're watching. Republicans are watching much differently. We want to see it work. Does it work? Does it work? Really, the amount of the RNC that I could watch, it was more like, I don't give a damn. Does it work? Is it true? And does it work? Can we make this work? Will this make it better? Not does it feel good, but is it good? And that's the main difference. Democrats are looking for, does it feel good? Republicans, for the most part, are looking for, and conservatives are looking for, is it good? Does it do good? That's the difference. That is really the difference. That's the difference. So it's really easy to point out the difference between Republicans and Democrats, and it's really easy to point out how they are being separated in this particular, how they separate out after this convention. Now, we'll see the effect, and I think that you'll see oh, cool. Hey, Philip. Thanks for watching. I'm having some technical issues, apparently. Philip, what technical issues am I having? I think I had some echo a minute ago, but Philip's in my chat room, and I'm trying to get some help. Listen, if you're still listening, Philip, let me know what technical issues. Did I have some echo before or whatever? Let me know. But it is interesting that that's what we're dealing with. That's the difference. That's the difference. We'll see if this convention, if Hillary Clinton gets that 4 or 5% bump after the convention. For the most part, those bumps in the polls go away and even out, and it'll be a knockdown, drag out thing throughout the general election season that is now upon us officially. After both conventions are done, it should be awful, painful, terrible, cringeworthy, all the way until November. It should be sad. It should be heart-wrenching, embarrassing. I'm not a negative person, so coming up with all these negative adjectives is kind of tough for me, but that's what it's going to be. It's going to continue to be just that until we're done with it. All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much for tuning in and to the Willie Lawson Show here on iHeartRadio.com and Spreaker.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you.